Have you ever been in a trophy truck? It was love at first jump. Anytime I saw a dust cloud in front of me, I'd just get like, oh yeah, I'm coming.
Models in motorsports, I feel like, are being phased out more and more.
We might be one of the last generations to hold this kind of position, and I think that it's just a shame.
It's story time. You may have seen BJ Baldwin jump his trophy truck over her. You might know her as Monster Energy Girl turned Monster Athlete. And some of you might have her spicy calendar.
Oh my God. I knew you found Bing on the internet.
Hello, Janey Lee. How you doing?
Hello. I'm good.
Yes, we do research for this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I want to get into a lot of things, but first I want to start with where we're at. We're on a beautiful Fatco tour, UTV tour. We're at the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, we
The
are.
Grand Canyon's right there.
We went to it today.
Yeah.
Saw it up close and personal.
So, probably one of the coolest tours I've ever been on.
Yeah, it's actually so beautiful.
Yeah, and it's wonderfully led by Frank.
Yes. Frank did an awesome job.
Oh, yeah. So I want to start from kind of like the whole Monster Energy Girl world, because you've been in it for so long. You've got to see the industry kind of change as a whole, I feel like. How has the role of a Monster Girl evolved from when you started to now?
I've been a Monster Girl now for 10 years. Our role, I would say, I don't know if it's changed so much. I will say, though, amongst all of the other brands that I've ever worked with, the difference between being a brand ambassador or a model for another brand versus being a Monster Girl is I feel that we are very much a part of the Monster Energy family. Whereas sometimes with other brands, we're kind of just like temporary. We're just there for that event. And I feel like that has stayed pretty consistent over the 10 years that I've been with Monster Energy, is that we are very respected amongst our peers. And, you know, we're treated like we are a part of the sport and we are incorporated into the sport and not necessarily just the accessories.
That's awesome. Do you think that's what played a huge contribution to you transitioning to becoming an athlete?
Yeah, I've always been into the automotive industry, and I just always assumed that, well, as a female, being on the modeling side is how I fit within the automotive industry. But seeing so many of the athletes welcome me on the lifestyle side and help train me. Casey Curry taught me how to rock crawl in my Jeep, also in my Can-Am, and so did Dustin Jones. And, you know, they never made me feel like I was a fish out of water. They always welcomed me as if I belonged. And then seeing more and more of the female athletes through Monster Energy, I just thought maybe there's a place for me too.
That's awesome. We'll go back a little bit because I do want to come back to the racing because that's like what you're doing now. Mm-hmm. But what was maybe one of the coolest Monster Girl jobs that you've done?
Oh.
Like a place that you got to go to, or?
There's honestly so many fun events. It's so hard to pick just one. I've been able to live in Cabo for a month and live my best spring break life. You know, my parents were really strict with me growing up, which I probably needed. So, you know, working the spring break tour, I lived in Cabo for a month, and I was at Squid Row. I did all the things. I was at Mango Deck. I had the time of my life. I worked so many fun music festivals as well. You know, typically I worked Stagecoach, but, you know, this year I'm out here with you guys. And another really fun music festival I worked is Hangout Fest, which is it's kind of like an open format music festival on the white sandy beaches of the Gulf Shores in Alabama. And then I've done tons of automotive events, you know, when F1 came to Vegas. Mm-hmm. But I would have to say my absolute hands down favorite is KOH. And the moment I touched dirt, KOH. My very first year, I said, this is it. This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And I look forward to it every single year.
That's awesome. Even living there for a month in the
Yeah.
dirt.
It's kind of crazy, but I just love the desert. I don't know what it is about it that just brings peace to both Eric and I. We can be so stressed out and like fighting on our way to the desert, and the moment we see the first Joshua tree, the first dune or cactus, it's just like okay, all is well again. BJ's mother-in-law, actually, she read both Eric and my birth signs, and she looked at our signs and she said, oh, too much water in your signs. You guys are very imbalanced. And I just thought, I wonder if that's why the desert brings us so much peace, because it balances us out.
Wow. So, okay. Yeah. I think it's awesome to hear that, you're a true enthusiast in the space. There's no like dumb media push behind it or anything. It's like you're in this because you love it. And that's
I
really
love
cool.
it so much.
That's awesome. At KOH, do you have a favorite trail?
Favorite trail? I will say, when I'm there, typically we're working. So my trail usually is from the 40 into Hammertown. And I find all the back trails and try to stall going into Hammertown as much as possible. My favorite work commute, hands down.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're usually going out to Chocolate Thunder at night.
Yep.
So I didn't really get to do too many of the trails. Really, the first time I got to see more of what Hammers has to offer is when we did the Desert Challenge.
How did that go for you?
We got 9th.
Awesome.
So very excited to have a top 10 finish for our second race. Mm-hmm. Our first race was Nora 500, and it was a very different format. It's a rally style. A little bit of a slower pace, I would say,
Gotcha.
Compared to the KOH.
Yeah.
KOH, we didn't get to pre-run as much because we were also working. And we had some other obligations like photo shoots and whatnot with our media partners. But there's kind of this fire that kind of reawoke it in me. In high school, I used to run track, so I was a very competitive athlete. And then moving into the modeling industry, I kind of had to quell that down because working with a lot of other girls, you can't necessarily have that kind of mindset.
Gotcha. Too competitive.
You can't be too competitive because, Monster Girls, it's more of like a sisterhood.
Gotcha.
So I think I lost that part of myself for a little bit. My first plan going into the Desert Challenge was to take it a little easy on the start. We didn't really get to pre-run. We didn't get to really take notes. I've never been on a short course. So I thought, okay, I'm going to let the other driver take the lead and take us out into the desert. And then from there, we'll run it and gut it. But I could not find the starter, the guy with the flag, because usually it's the lights. I guess it had changed. And so I was kind of freaking out, where do I know where to start? Where's the guy? And so I was a little bit late off the start. But seeing the back end of that car, I was like, oh no, I don't like this. And I started gunning it. And I remember Kylie saying, okay, but take it easy. And I said, I know, I got it, but I'm not letting her take it. And we got out of the short course first. And I don't know. I didn't expect to enjoy the chase. Anytime I saw a dust cloud in front of me, I'd just get oh yeah, I'm coming. I just got so excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What is the banter between you and Kylie in the car? Is she always trying to calm you down, or is she riling you up? What is that like?
I think she can tell when I get a little excited. She'll tell me, okay, remember, stay calm, stay cool, cool, calm, collected. But then we also joke around. Once we're kind of like on a straightaway, we're kind of talking about what kind of food we want after. You know, we want micheladas, we want a root beer float, we want pizza. But we both work really well with each other. She has an ability to kind of bring me back to center. I got T-boned in the rocks during the desert challenge. And that was just a miscommunication, I think, again, because we did not pre-run the course. So I had remembered the line that we had been taking versus another line that she was following. And so I made the decision to take the line that we had been taking during our pre-run and then the first lap. And we just so happened to collide with another car in the rocks, which we were warned that could have happened. And she kept me calm while I kind of processed all of that, because first time of that happening, that's kind of like, okay, I got to process this. My steering got thrown off, so, you know, trying to pull myself together. And then because of the steering issue, it threw me into a rock that caused a flat. And, you know, another first for us, but we pulled over and we just looked at each other and we're like, okay, this is racing. This happens. Let's just get out, change the tire. And we did. It's kind of interesting, though, to think that so many people were surprised that we changed our own tire. It's like we have crews just hanging out in the corners, ready to do that for us. I mean, I know you guys saw some of the comments on my reel with you guys of, in between takes, a guy did all the work.
Which is crazy.
Girls can change tires too, especially with AGM. You guys have such a great product. You make it really easy.
Thanks for the shameless plug here. I'm glad that you're able to use the Jack to get out of that situation. And the Jacks are easy to use, guys. Everybody can use it. Who do you like riding with more or driving with more, Kylie or Eric?
Oh, man. You know what? I love riding with Eric because I feel like we're constantly growing. And it's not always sunshine and butterflies in the car. Sometimes we do get a little heated. But we're able to come back from that. It's just easy to do that when, you know, it's your significant other versus a different person that you don't have that deep of a relationship with.
Definitely.
But Eric has very much been my biggest coach, my biggest cheerleader. And even on this trip, every single day, I'm asking for feedback and what is it that I can do to improve? And he does a really good job of helping me get better every single day, every time I get behind the wheel.
That's awesome. All right, I want to transition to what I believe is your start in the off-road world through my research. You were in the first Recoil with BJ Baldwin.
Yes.
And arguably one of the coolest videos in off-road ever.
I would have to say.
Yeah. That was your first time ever in off-road?
Ever. I had never seen a trophy truck. Never. In fact, a girlfriend, now married to Vlad, who works with Drive Media, she sent me a text and said, hey, I know that you've worked in the tuner industry. You know, we're shooting this video and we need a girl that would be down to drive a GTR. Me being in the industry, thinking, oh, hell yeah, I'm down to drive this GTR. Eric comes home from work and I tell him, oh yeah, I guess I'm getting pitched for a project with a GTR with some dude named BJ Baldwin. And Eric was like, oh dude, you gotta do it. He just won the Baja 1000 back-to-back Ironman. And I'm sorry, but at that time, that verbiage, that jargon, I had no idea. What any of that even mean.
Why are you talking about a superhero?
I'm like, ooh, okay, anyways. And then I ended up getting the job. They flew me out. I remember looking at this truck and thinking, what is this? It looks like a Hot Wheels truck, just like life size, you know?
Yeah.
I took a picture of it. I sent it to Eric, and one of the social media guys was freaking out. It's like, you can't release the livery again. Jargon that I'm like, what is a livery?
What are you saying? What part of the truck is that?
What is that? Is that a body part? I don't know about. But I met him, shook his hand, and within 5 minutes, they're setting up the jump. I just remember seeing his tire flying over me. And we did that shot about like 12, 13 times.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Rad.
And every time, I swear, he just got closer and closer to me.
Yeah. And then you got to be in the truck the rest of the time, right?
I did. When we got to the scene where he's going to start taking me out through the desert, everyone told me, oh, don't worry. We have a stunt double for you. And I was like, no. Like, I think I earned this seat. So we took off, and honestly, I tell everyone, it was love at first jump. Like, I don't know. Have you ever been in a trophy truck?
I've only been in pre-runners that are close, but
Yeah.
never in a full race truck. I know it's completely different.
It is like jumping and landing in a bunch of pillows. The suspension, it's just so soft and cush. And yeah, I was like, yeah, you're not pulling over. I'm doing the whole scene.
That's awesome.
Time of my life. I was hooked.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got the best experience right off the bat.
I did. I know.
Do you feel like you've ruined it for yourself, or
No.
Okay, got it.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's something to work towards, if anything.
Yeah. Ooh.
That's how I look at a lot of things. Is
Janey Lee in a trophy truck? Is that happening?
I mean, if the bank account can work that way, let's make it work, baby.
That's awesome. Are there any female athletes in motorsports that you look up to, or maybe you did before or now?
I really admire Sarah Price. She has been so welcoming and so supportive. I remember doing the Mavar release, and there were a couple other female athletes there, and I think they were pretty confused as to why I was there. But Sarah jumped in really quickly and just said, oh no, she's a monster girl, but she rides.
Yeah.
And, I feel like I run into two types of women. Ones that are sizing me up, or ones that are cheering me on. And Sarah has definitely been one of those that has been cheering me on from the start. So I'm very appreciative of that.
That's awesome. It's cool to see, the industry come together like that.
Yeah.
And it's also frustrating to see the industry be cold,
I think you run into that no matter what industry you're in.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
that means you're doing something right.
Yeah.
I think. Something different.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. It is so cold.
It's so cold. I'm like, I'm trying not to chatter my teeth. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm trying to get through this so we can.
I'm actually. You're doing a great job because I feel like I'm bundled up and
I'm struggling.
Woo.
What is your favorite type of off-roading? Like rocks, sand, open desert?
I would say when I first started, sand.
Mm-hmm.
We go out to Glamis. It's our home desert.
Yeah.
And I love the dunes. When I first started off-roading, rock crawling, scary.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of clinks and clanks, and it just feels unnatural. But I had a mind switch, and now I look at every obstacle as an accomplishment. So, anytime I'm going over big rocks, if I don't make it the first time, in the past, I would be really hard on myself because, I can tend to be a perfectionist. But a lot of what off-road has taught me, too, is to have grace. And if you don't succeed the first time, you try and you try again. And it's okay if you don't make it the first time.
Yeah.
It's how you finish it that matters.
Like a little reward system.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very, very rewarding.
Yeah.
To look back and be like, damn, I went through that.
Yeah. Especially with rock stuff. Like some of those trails don't even look like a trail.
No.
It's like, what do you mean I'm supposed to drive up that?
Exactly.
That's awesome. Okay. I read somewhere on your Instagram feed that you were in a Tosh.0 episode.
I was actually in 3.
3? Okay.
3 Tosh.0 episodes.
I couldn't find them, but
Oh,
which ones
no.
were these?
Okay, I need to remember. I think the first one was like a music video.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was me and 5 other girls. And then the next episode was a nail salon.
Okay.
And I believe she either had no arms or no feet. I think
But
it
she
was
was
no
at a nail
arms.
salon?
I
Got
think it
it.
was no arms because I think I do remember her feeding herself
Awesome.
with said toes. And then the last one, I was a masseuse, and I was supposed to be digging out. This sounds kind of gross, but tonsil rocks or
Yeah. Yeah.
out of Tosh's mouth while he had a boner.
Of course. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, I tried posting a still from that one. That one got flagged by Instagram.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
So your job was to act in those? Did you have lines and stuff, or?
I think I had maybe like 1 or 2 lines
Gotcha.
at most,
Yeah.
if that. I think the reason why I came back for multiple episodes was because I worked really well with everyone on the crew.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times when they would, talk about the upcoming scene, sometimes I'd even throw in my little like funny spin.
Nice.
Like,
A little improv.
a little improv, like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if, you took the Capri Sun packet and then just squeeze it out like he's excited.
Yeah.
And
That was awesome.
But I think it's because in high school, I actually used to make films and compete in film competitions too for fun. And I would make segments for my high school's TV show, and I'd host it as well.
That's right.
So being on set, it kind of brought me back to that.
You have this background in filmmaking. Do you think that's why it was easy for you to transition into social media?
Yeah.
Kind of like, that's that whole world.
Yeah.
And what is your relationship with social media?
Okay, sometimes the word influencer can make me cringe. So I don't like to use that. And no offense to other social media influencers. It's just my own thing.
Yeah.
And maybe with, some of the bad apples that I have worked with.
Mm-hmm.
But there are bad apples in any industry that you're going to work in.
Yeah.
So please don't take offense to that. So I do like to use the term content creator. I feel like being in my high school video class, it helped me basically envision how shots need to be done.
Yeah.
How to edit. And, a lot of people say, oh, wow, you're like transition videos. You make them look so good. And it's because I have a foundation,
Yeah.
I just kind of understand how things need to be shot and cut in order to have a flow and continuity and all of that.
That's rad. Do you read your comments?
I do.
Yeah?
I do.
I mean, because there's just crazy comments on all of your posts.
I will say, if you do really look at my comments versus, maybe some of the other content creators or influencers out there, I have actually a really good community.
Yeah.
And I think that's because I've always stayed true to who I am as a person. I was on Instagram when it very first started, and there was a point where all of us were growing.
Yeah.
And I never hid any part of my life, and that including Eric. So Eric has been a part of the package. And, if you actually look at some of the comments too, you'll see some like, hey, Eric, no offense, but Janey, yeah. And people ask me about Eric all the time. They're cheering for the both of us.
Yeah.
So while there was a point where, maybe some of the other influencers started to grow and surpass me, and I might have stayed at, a particular number, I don't regret that whatsoever, because the community that I've been able to grow around that, I wouldn't change it.
That's awesome. Do you feel like a big sense of support from your community?
I do, actually. I really do. My community has seen me, at least if they've been following me from day one. I started posting when I was working in the nightlife industry. They saw me start out as like an aerialist and a dancer, and I worked at this nightclub where we had rolling themes every 3 months. So at one point, I was even a mermaid in a tank. I've had Snoop Dogg sing to me.
Awesome.
Like, oh, where's that mermaid? I'm like, I'm not a real mermaid, right?
He didn't know.
I don't know if he knew, though.
No, he didn't
because
know
I got a text message from one of the VIP hosts later on that night saying he's requesting the mermaid. Like, he knows, right? That was a silicone tail. But
That's awesome.
well, going from that, and then I kind of left the nightlife scene, and then I started pursuing modeling full time. That's when I started doing Toyo and Monster Energy, and then I also started doing the Ring Girl stuff as well. And then now, transitioning into the off-road racing space, I feel like people have seen so many different chapters of me.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool to see the same names still there cheering for me.
That's really awesome. What do you think is next for Janey?
Next. I feel like I'm still in the next.
Got it. Okay.
I still feel like I'm in the next, off-road racing. And I know I have a lot to learn. And I have a lot of space to grow. I might be picking up another type of racing as well.
Okay. Under wraps still?
Under wraps till we get the contract.
Got it.
And next month, I'm actually launching my collaborated bikini line with a company that I've walked Miami Swim Week with for the past 2 years. So, third time's a charm. And this time I'm walking Miami Swim Week in my own design.
Wow,
and
that's awesome.
It's just been really fun to be able to draw something and then be a part of the process of it coming to fruition.
Yeah, spoken like a true creator, a content creator. Because the process is the same, you have an idea and then you go from there.
Yeah. When I was younger, I used to doodle and draw little designs for my Barbies, or when I get older, I'm going to wear a dress like this. And the opportunity came about, and I'm just in my yes mode right now of yes, I will do this. Yes, I will do that. Where in the past, maybe I would have been scared to try, but I'm ready to put my money where my mouth is.
That's awesome. Do you feel like the more you say yes and the more you're stepping into these new endeavors, it just gives you more confidence?
It does. One of the things that I've been working on has been releasing a lot of my old self-sabotage behavior and, maybe old ideals and habits that just don't serve my higher power, so that I can make space for more, because I know I'm meant for more.
I want to circle back to one thing. It's kind of like the models in motorsports, I feel like, are being phased out more and more. What is your perspective of that as somebody who is in that space? And over the years, how have you seen it kind of change?
I've throughout the years seen articles about, why do we still have models in motorsports? I remember when we were part of NASCAR, when Monster Energy first had the title sponsorship. I forgot the year. Was that 2018? I'm not sure. But there's this whole article of people freaking out because of our outfits. And let me tell you, the girls were very classy. Yes, it was a pleather corset and pleather pants, but I didn't think it was anything crazier than what I see the fans come out in.
Yeah.
And I've seen some body parts that I was like, oh, I was not prepared. So I don't really understand why so many people have an issue with women in the modeling side of motorsports, especially if you're a feminist. If we don't fit your feminist ideal, who are you, if you're a true feminist, to tell me how I make my money? You don't have the right to do that. And if a female enjoys working on that side, why are you going to take that away from her? I mean, look at where it's gotten me. It introduced me to so many different types of events, and I got to see racing from a different side. I got to see the pits. I got to be on the podium and hand trophies over to people. And that inspired me to then turn around and aim to get that trophy handed to me too. So it's very mind-boggling. But yeah, I do think that unfortunately, we might be one of the last generations to hold this kind of position, and I think that it's just a shame. But you know, the great thing about Monster Energy is that, again, like I said, they respect us so much and they see that we're so much more. We are the smiling faces that help greet people at these events, whereas you see this dark black and green can be very intimidating. But then you see the bottles and they're smiling and taking photos and engaging with the fans, talking to the kids and offering ice cold Monster Energies. And maybe to some people that doesn't mean much, but you know, there are people at the end of the races when I'm handing them an ice cold tour water and handing them their medal and handing them their champagne bottles. I mean, I think otherwise. Usually if we're there on the podium and we're handing that to you, you finished in a really good time.
Yeah.
Because we don't stay there all night.
Yeah, what's
I
your
mean, we
cutoff?
wish we could.
Yeah.
But, you know, typically we do stay for, you know, top finishers.
Yeah.
So I
Awesome.
hope that answer didn't come off weird.
No, I don't think so.
I think that there's a place and a space for us in this industry.
Yeah.
So I do hope that, you know, girls still get the opportunity to, because I still have so many little girls come up to me and tell me, I want to do this when I get older too.
That's really awesome. Do you have any stories you'd like to tell? Anything else we need to know about Janey?
I feel like I'm an onion. I don't know. Maybe we save that for another story time when it's not so
Yeah.
blistering cold.
Yeah, at a different climate potentially.
In a different climate where you're maybe dressed appropriately for the climate.
Yeah, I
But the outfit is...
committed to the shirt, so now we're here.
I appreciate that. I unfortunately, sorry, I needed to be warm.
All good. Well, thank you so much, Janey. That was awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That was Storytime with Janey Lee. Please subscribe and let us know in the comments who you'd like to see us interview next.